Behind every legend lies a reason. This is Myth and Motive.
An overview of Belarus, a country with beautiful women that have analyzed storyline. Belarus, a country in Eastern Europe, stands out not only for its pristine natural beauty but also for its unique characteristics and policies. Its economy is almost entirely dependent on Russia, making Belarus, in the eyes of many countries, a subordinate nation, merely following Russia's lead and supporting Moscow. But in reality, Belarus is clever in knowing where to lean for support. Aligning with Russia has helped Belarus develop rapidly, becoming the Silicon Valley of Eastern Europe and a dreamland for startups. However, it's not just technological advancements. The country also attracts attention for its bizarre laws found nowhere else. One of these is the ban on exporting women, which astonishes many who hear about it. It's puzzling that a country known for respecting women would have such an odd law. The diversity and complexity of Belarus, from its tech valleys to special policies and international relations, paint a vivid and colorful picture of the country. I'll explore more in today. Belarus, a landlocked country in Eastern Europe, was part of the Soviet Union until declaring independence in 1991. The lungs of Europe. Belarus is not only the venue for important negotiations between Russia and Ukraine but also the homeland of two Israeli presidents, officially known as the Republic of Belarus. Geographically, it borders Russia to the northeast, Ukraine to the south, Poland to the west, and Latvia and Lithuania to the northwest. The country has two official languages, Belarusian and Russian. Belarusian is used in schools and Russian in official documents. People near the border often use a mix of Belarusian and Russian and sometimes incorporate other languages. Belarus has an area of 207,600 square kilometers, ranking 84th in the world, larger than the combined area of Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Hungary. Despite its large area, Belarus has a population of only about 9 million, similar to Ho Chi Minh City, with a population density of less than 50 people per square kilometer. Belarus is also one of the few European countries that maintains the death penalty. Although landlocked, Belarus attracts tourists with its poetic roads through cornfields, ancient forests, and picturesque villages. The peaceful landscape blends with modernity through beautiful cities and architectural work. Minsk, the economic, cultural, and political center of Belarus, is also the capital, home to many national landmarks and the country's top tourist attractions. The city is located right in the center of Belarus, stretching along the Svitlik River, gentle and serene. The Svitlik River, like an elegant ribbon, gracefully winds around the city with its clear blue waters, adorned by lush green banks. The capital of Belarus has a modern and clean style. Beautiful cafes, restaurants with impressive designs, and bustling nightclubs always attract every visitor here. Traditional style architecture is quite rare because the city endured heavy losses during World War II. The most historically significant structures are mostly related to the Soviet era. The capital Minsk lies on green hills with scattered rivers and lakes. The architectural works here are mostly ancient cathedrals, castles, opera houses, and libraries. In terms of diplomacy, Belarus maintains a close relationship with Russia, a bond strengthened after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Russia not only supports Belarus economically but also politically, helping secure its international standing. With direct investment, Russia is the #1 partner, with an average annual direct investment of up to $650 million. The cumulative total by early 2020 reached $4.26 billion, according to the Russian Central Bank. According to Belarusian statistics, based on capital of Russian origin, the cumulative figure is $7.2 billion, including indirect investments from Cyprus and the Netherlands. Banks with Russian capital account for 25% of the total assets of the Belarusian banking system, such as Belgazprom Bank, Alfa Bank, BPS Bank, VTB Bank Belarus, and Belga. In terms of credit, Russia ranks first in providing intergovernmental credit to Belarus, with debt of about $7.5 billion, including the loan for the construction of the Belarusian nuclear power plant, while China is second with debt of $3.3 billion. In bilateral trade, Russia is Belarus's #1 trade partner, accounting for about 48% of exports and 56% of imports, with the EU at 18%. Of the total $20.8 billion in imports from Russia, crude oil and gas account for nearly 50%. Russia imports $13.1 billion in goods from Belarus, with agricultural products making up 16%. Notably, over 15 years from 2000 to 2015, Russia subsidized Belarus by about $100 billion in the form of crude oil pricing, sold at domestic prices without export duties. Belarus then processed and exported the products to Europe, earning foreign currency that included export duties. This subsidy began to decline from 2018 when Russia implemented tax reform, increasing resource taxes and reducing. Regarding remittances from Russia to Belarus, according to incomplete statistics, the two countries have free movement. There are approximately 650,000 Belarusian citizens living and working. This number tends to increase after Russia relaxed immigration regulations for Ukrainian and Belarusian citizens. Annually, remittances sent to Belarus from Russia only reach about $272 million, much lower than the $4.7 billion from Uzbekistan, $1.1 billion from Armenia, and $389 million from Ukraine. It should be noted that these are figures transferred through the banking system. Since people often carry cash across the border, the actual amount could be many times larger. It can be said that if a flow of money from Russia is lost, most Belarusian businesses risk mass exodus. State-owned enterprises in Belarus account for up to 70% of GDP, and although the unemployment rate is only, the remaining economic sectors do not yield high profits. This issue originated from the time President Alexander Lukashenko came to power in 1994. He is often described as the leader of Europe's last dictatorship. Inflation is also a major challenge for this country. According to the IMF, inflation in Belarus is expected to reach 65.9% this year. This figure has even decreased significantly compared to 2011, when the financial crisis pushed inflation to 109%. The currency crisis in Belarus was partly due to the government raising wages to gain public support. This policy led to disaster in 2011, with the balance of payments crisis exploding and hyperinflation emerging. The Central Bank of Belarus responded by raising interest rates. Simultaneously, the country's currency was floated and a unified exchange rate regime was implemented. In addition, Belarus also received a $3 billion rescue package from neighboring countries. Russian President Putin's speech on the Kremlin website in July 2021 about the historical unity between Russians and Ukrainians may explain Mr. Lukashenko's choice. Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians are all descendants of the ancient Rus, bound together by the language now called Old Russian and the Orthodox faith of the Rus. From that blood relationship, it can be understood why in early 2022, approximately 30,000 Russian troops came to Belarus for exercises in revenge. According to Irish Times, on February 20, 2020, 30,000 Russian troops were equivalent to half of Belarus's military strength, with a regular force of 60,000. 4 days later, also according to Irish Times, Russian troops from Belarus entered Ukraine. On June 13th of this year, Mr. Lukashenko declared that his country had received some tactical nuclear weapons from Russia, and warned that he would not hesitate to use them if Belarus were invaded. In terms of sports, Belarus has achieved many outstanding accomplishments, particularly in sports such as hockey, football, rowing, wrestling, and athletics. Additionally, Belarus is held the Silicon Valley of Eastern Europe due to the strong development of the information technology industry, with over 200 companies and about 30,000 specialists working in this field. Among them, the video game World of Tanks and the messaging app Viber are two prominent examples of successful technology products developed in Belarus. The most famous thing about Belarusian people is their hospitality and kindness. There is a long-standing tradition in Belarus where every guest is invited to share a meal. Belarus can satisfy even the most demanding diners. Culinary recipes have formed over centuries, imbued with the flavors of national life. Belarus is located in the center of Europe, at the crossroads of many international routes. The capital of the Republic of Belarus is the city of Minsk. Minsk is one of the oldest cities in Europe. The first document mentioning the city dates back to 1067. The population of Minsk is approximately 2 million people. Belarusian cuisine has a long history. Its development and formation are influenced by climatic conditions and the country's geographical location at the crossroads of Eastern and Western cultures. The world's largest religions. One of the main ingredients in Belarusian cuisine is potatoes. Potatoes are called the second bread of Belarusians. Among the main dishes of Belarusian cuisine, notable dishes include rezi, deniki, potato babka, machonka, and zareri, a traditional Belarusian dish. This is a meat roll with filling. This is one of the distinctive dishes from the time of the Livonian Duchy. At that time, this dish was only served on the tables of the wealthy. Later, zareri became popular in folk cuisine. Deniki is one of the most famous and beloved dishes of Belarus. Its name originates from a word meaning. It is believed this dish was first mentioned in 1830. Globally, Belarusian deniki are famous for their special flavor. National culinary secrets and the characteristics of Belarusian potatoes. Medovika is one of the first alcoholic beverages that appeared in Belarus. In ancient times, it was made by fermenting honey. Since ancient times, honey-based drinks have been valued for their flavor and health benefits. It was used to entertain guests, treat illnesses, or simply in daily life. It can be said that Medovika in ancient times had a sacred character and was mandatory on banquet tables during festivals and religious rituals. In fact, in Belarus, programming is a very prestigious profession with extremely high salaries. It even surpasses any country in the world. But paradoxically, the average salary in Belarus is among the lowest in Europe. So what reason makes the programming profession break this country's salary rules? That's because of the economic area called the. In Eastern Europe, more than a decade ago, a high-tech park began forming in Belarus and currently attracts about 170 companies and 27,000 IT professionals, bringing trillions of US dollars in profit to the country. Therefore, Belarus always knows how to utilize and favor this profession. Golden egg-laying chicken. Additionally, Belarus highly values national education. Over 90% of the population has at least secondary education. The rate of population with secondary education are higher per 10,000 people ranks first in the world. The elegant facial features and high cultivation make the girls here become perfect goddesses in the eyes of countless people. But the gender ratio in Belarus is imbalanced, with more women than men. Many local girls are always worried about getting married. Surely many single men have thought about whether they could go to Belarus to find a suitable partner, because many other countries have more men than women. But reality is very harsh. As early as 2005, President Lukashenko's statement shattered this illusion. Losing beautiful women is a great loss for our country and diminishes national dignity. We will never allow young girls to become objects of trafficking. Our beauties don't need to go abroad. They have enough development opportunities domestically. The government immediately took action, placing beauties on the list of national strategic resources and strengthening control over their travel abroad. How many men have been disappointed by this policy? But we must admit that Belarus is a small country with a population of just over 10 million people. Beautiful women are considered national treasures, protected very carefully, and even banned from being the beauty of Belarusian people inherits the elegant features of Slavic people. With bright eyes, high nose bridges, pointed chins, and especially large, deep, mysterious, along with prominent high cheekbones, adding confidence and nobility to their faces. If you stroll on the streets of Minsk and happen to meet an attractive young woman, invite her to take a commemorative photo. Belarusian women are very open and friendly. They will happily agree and even leave their email addresses and ask you to send them the photos. Minsk is known as the Holy Land of Beauties. On the streets, countless beautiful women always appear, with graceful and seductive figures like professional models, in famous international beauty contests. Belarusian women often achieve impressive results. Although beautiful women are not rare in this country, wealthy men always show them respect. cherishing them like precious treasures. For Belarusian people, beauties are a strategic national resource, used to honor the country's youth on international beauty stages. However, in recent years, many beautiful girls from this country have followed the trend of going abroad, acquiring foreign citizens, making the Belarusian government extremely worried, to the extent that most models on Minsk streets are foreigners. In fact, the beautiful girls of Belarus are flocking to settle in glamorous fashion capitals, like Germany, France, Italy, America, because top global modeling companies hunt for them and pay extremely generous fees. President Lukashenko emphasized that this is truly a major problem. For a country with a small population like Belarus, the emigration of outstanding women will seriously affect the population quality. Currently, the Belarusian government has strict measures restricting the overseas travel of beautiful women, highly managing young models, recruited by foreign companies. President Lukashenko also ordered the establishment of competitions for Belarusian girls to celebrate national beauty. The country is also actively preparing for the beauty contests like Miss Belarus, Miss Spring, Miss Sports, Miss Student. Additionally, Belarus has a sparse population of under 10 million, even experiencing negative growth, if a large number of young women marry foreigners. At this time, the population will increasingly increase, and it will be difficult to maintain the country's development. Moreover, Belarus cares more about ancestral origins, white, meaning the purest Slavic people. They believe that the loss of a large number of outstanding women going abroad will directly affect to the population quality of the country and make the country gloomy, promoting the dignity of the country. Therefore, the country's decision will directly control and the beauty going abroad completely. Any Belarusian white-haired girl who wants to go abroad must have prior consent. Therefore, Belarus has become the only country in the world women are not allowed to marry outside. If you want to marry a Belarusian girl, then you must renounce your citizenship there so you can get married here. The special thing is Belarusian women always carefully preserve the wedding dress for decades. The wedding dress is the attire for the most important day, the woman's life. But I only wear it once in my life anyway. Therefore, many people choose the red wedding, or if they do buy, they will resell it. Then only a few people kept it as a memento. But in Belarus, it's different. Women here are for the white roll. The wedding day is a special honor. The shell is ready to preserve the beauty of marriage for over a decade. Because according to the women here's perspective, if New Year is selling one's wedding roll, will have a negative impact on marriage, and to themselves. For many women in Belarus, the veil has become a powerful symbol, with the notion that it is necessary to get close after the wedding tears. If you don't want the marriage to reach a dead end, some hostages believe that the scarf also stop crying when letting the child marry. Despite many wars, fierce conflict, and divided the territory throughout centuries, Belarus still strives to preserve its various tourist attractions of Belarus, astonishing with its majestic beauty. Unique cultural areas can be found in each of the country's 6 provinces. Sometimes you can find castles and special nature reserves, old household appliances and young people, and if possible, all the guests must visit Narok region, Van National Memorial, Rumiancep Complex, Baskovich, and Russian memorials, national memorials, and national memorials, family monuments and poets' houses, libraries and ethnographic villages. In the most unexpected corners of the Republic, we introduce to you the most famous attractions of the Republic of Belarus that every citizen. Rumiancep, Baskovich and the Park Complex, Museum of Ancient Traditions and Belarusian Traditions, the legendary fortress, Diaoiza Forest, Strugia, Moshe Tragan's House Museum, and poet Sophia's house. Thus, tourism in Belarus can be no less vibrant than in European countries, and to have a time full of information and interesting. It's not necessary to travel far outside, as they say, the wonder. The wonder is close by. Climatically, Belarus is located west of Russia, formerly part of the Soviet bloc. The distinct 4 seasons can be felt through the scenery, most notably the snowy winter lasting 5 months. Everywhere a cold white color. Such weather is considered harsh, but the people here live optimistically and do not yield to heaven. On the contrary, they know how to live in harmony with nature even more. Forests cover 40% of the country's area. Wide marshes everywhere. Gentle and peaceful scenery in rural areas. Even in the capital Minsk, the most metropolitan place, the city is spacious with lush greenery. Located on the southeastern slope of the Minsk Hills, the capital's terrain slopes gently from southwest to northeast. The city is planned in a way, without planning. That is, preserving natural creations as rugged terrain like eroded hills, creating a wild and liberal appearance. Grass and green trees are seen everywhere. Minsk is in the mixed forest zone. Tall trees interspersed between buildings, creating a forest in the city style. Grass grows on gentle slopes. In midsummer, all leaves burst with yellow dandelion flowers, resembling chrysanthemums. When the yellow flowers fall, each flower head produces a seed with many white fluffs surrounding it, as we often see in pictures. At that point, it's no longer a dandelion flower but just a withered wonder. Vietnam and Belarus inherit the traditional friendly relations and good multifaceted cooperation that existed between Vietnam and the former Soviet during the period when Vietnam was struggling for independence and national reunification. Soviet experts, including Belarusian experts, came to support and share difficulties with Vietnam. Hundreds of Vietnamese researchers have studied in Belarus. The peoples of both countries love peace, are hardworking, have a strong will to rise, and are hospitable. More than 30 years since Vietnam and Belarus officially established diplomatic relations in 1992. The bilateral relationship has recorded many positive developments with increasing mutual trust. Belarus has always affirmed its emphasis on relations with Vietnam, viewing Vietnam as a development model after overcoming the embargo period to achieve a fast-growing economy and an independent, self-reliant foreign policy as it is today. The two sides maintain regular exchanges and contacts at all levels, especially high-level, cooperating and supporting each other at international and regional forums, particularly the United Nations. In 2022, the two countries celebrated 30 years of diplomatic relations. The achievements in economic, trade, and investment cooperation between Vietnam and Belarus reflect the continuous efforts of the governments, businesses, and people of both countries over the years. Vietnam and Belarus have held 15 sessions of the Intergovernmental Committee on Economic, Trade, and Scientific Technical Cooperation. The two sides are also actively implementing the Free Trade Agreement between Vietnam and the Eurasian Economic Union, EAEU, of which Belarus is a member. The economies of Vietnam and Belarus have many complementary strengths. Vietnam exports to Belarus items such as seafood, natural rubber, wooden products, textiles, footwear, rice, cashews, peanuts, pepper, spices, tea, canned vegetables. Imports from Belarus include milk and dairy products, fertilizers, machinery, equipment, automobile parts, tractors, trucks, and chemicals. According to the General Department of Customs, the trade turnover between Vietnam and Belarus in 2022 reached $113.9 million. In the first 9 months of 2023, this figure was $46.42 million. Belarus currently has 3 investment projects in Vietnam with a total capital of $32.25 million, notably the Moj Asia Automobile Assembly Project in Hung Yen Province. Cooperation between Vietnam and Belarus in other fields has also been continuously strengthened, contributing to the stable and sustainable development of each country. Scientific and technological organizations of the two countries cooperate closely, with many projects effectively implemented. The Vietnam-Belarus Committee on Scientific and Technological Cooperation has held 11 sessions. Defense and security cooperation is maintained through delegation exchanges and activities of the Intergovernmental Joint Committee on Military Technical Cooperation. In the cultural and tourism sector, the two countries have organized Belarusian Culture Days in Vietnam in 2014, 2017, 2023. And Vietnamese Culture Days in Belarus in 2015, 2018. The number of Belarusian tourists to Vietnam increased rapidly after Vietnam waived visas, reaching over 12,000 visitors in 2019. Cultural and tourism exchange activities serve as a bridge bringing the peoples of the two countries closer, despite geographical distance and language differences. The Vietnamese community in Belarus numbers about 600 people, highly appreciated by local authorities and facilitated for living, working, and studying. Looking back, Belarus is not only an important crossroads between East and West in Europe, but also a country with a rich history and unique culture. Through international relations and a rich cultural heritage, Belarus takes pride in its role on the world map. Despite facing many challenges from history to the present, Belarus continues to progress steadily, affirming its position and influence regionally and globally. From important political negotiations to robust development in the information technology sector, Belarus demonstrates the adaptability and continuous growth of a country that has experienced many historical ups and downs. Thank you for watching the video.
If the legend hooked you, subscribe and open the next case.